You're about to be shocked. Because Japan is nothing like you think. A country where homeless people almost disappear from city centers, where society functions without public trash bins, and where falling asleep on a train is seen as a sign of hard work, and that's just the surface. In the 13 stories ahead, you'll see a Japan that is disciplined to the point of being unsettling, filled with contradictions, hidden shadows, and realities that make you wonder, are we looking at the future or a society that has been enduring in silence for far too long? If you're ready, come explore all 13 twists with me until the very end. Number 1. Culture shocks in Japan that leave foreigners silent. In Japan, homeless people rarely appear in the middle of city centers the way they do in many other countries. Instead of gathering in plazas or tourist-heavy areas, they live quietly in parks, along riverbanks, or under bridges. What shocks many foreigners is not their existence, but how they exist. Their belongings are neatly arranged, their living spaces are kept clean, and they almost never disturb the people around them. The reason goes beyond urban management. At a deeper level, it comes from a culture of self-respect. In Japanese thinking, no matter how poor someone becomes, they are still expected to maintain dignity and avoid causing trouble for others, a principle known as meiwaku o kakenai. Urban design and public regulations make the homeless even more invisible. In cities like Tokyo or Osaka, sleeping overnight on the street, setting up temporary shelters, or occupying public spaces is tightly restricted. Parks, train stations, and public areas are cleaned regularly to preserve an image of cleanliness, safety, and order. The result is a well-maintained society, but also one where vulnerable people are pushed out of sight of the majority. What stands out is that even without homes, many homeless people in Japan maintain personal hygiene, rarely beg, and follow social rules. In this society, poverty does not equal a lack of discipline. That mindset pushes them to exist in what is considered a proper way, even when their lives are extremely unstable. Another major culture shock is that Japan has almost no public trash bins. After the 1995 sarin gas attack, the government removed most public bins for security reasons. People were forced to take their trash home, and over time, this became a social norm. Respect for shared spaces does not come from surveillance or punishment, but from an invisible moral pressure created by the community itself. Alongside this orderly surface exists a controversial underground culture. Full-body tattoos known as irizumi, traditionally associated with the Yakuza, once symbolized loyalty, courage, and endurance, rooted in the spirit of Bushido. Today, although heavily stigmatized and banned from many public spaces, irizumi still exists as a trace of older values. It shows that Japan does not have just one cultural layer, but many overlapping ones, disciplined yet deeply contradictory. Number 2. Japan is slowly disappearing, a population crisis few dare to talk about. Japan is facing a serious and long-term population crisis. In 2024 alone, the population dropped by around 910,000 people, marking the 14th consecutive year of decline. The core issue is not a single factor, but a combination of low birth rates, late marriage, rapid aging, and restrictive immigration policies. For decades, the traditional family model was the foundation of Japanese society, but that structure is now steadily falling apart. Today, Japan's fertility rate hovers between 1.15 and 1.26 children per woman, far below the replacement level of 2.1. In the past, birth rates were higher thanks to multi-generational households and traditional gender roles. But as lifestyles changed, living costs rose, and work pressure intensified, more women began delaying marriage and childbirth. For many young people, starting a family is no longer a natural life step, but a risky decision with long-term consequences. One of the clearest symbols of this crisis is Nagoro, often called the Scarecrow Village. The village has almost no young residents left, abandoned houses, and elderly people scattered across the area. Scarecrows are placed to represent missing residents, creating a scene that is both artistic and deeply unsettling. Nagoro is not an isolated case, but a miniature version of hundreds of rural communities across Japan that are aging and slowly disappearing. To respond, the Japanese government has introduced child allowances, expanded daycare systems, encouraged parental leave for both mothers and fathers, and launched matchmaking programs. Yet the impact remains limited. The biggest obstacles are not financial, but cultural, including work expectations, social pressure, and fear of losing personal freedom. Another path forward is selective immigration. Japan is now considering accepting more young foreign workers, including from India and Southeast Asia, to offset labor shortages. This signals a gradual shift away from the idea of population self-sufficiency and toward internationalization as a condition for maintaining society and the economy. Number 3. Why does Japan practice religion so differently from the rest of the world? In Japan, it is completely normal for someone to follow both Shinto and Buddhism at the same time. Rather than being seen as contradictory, this is considered a natural part of spiritual life. This harmony dates back to the 6th century, when Buddhism arrived from China and the Korean peninsula. Instead of rejecting local beliefs, the Japanese blended the two through the concept of Shinbutsu Shugo, which views Shinto deities as manifestations of Buddhist figures. Thanks to this mindset, the two religions coexisted for centuries without major conflict. Tao. Unlike in the West, where religion often involves rigid doctrines and exclusive belief systems, Japanese people approach religion in a more practical way. Shinto is closely tied to life events such as birth, marriage, and good fortune, while Buddhism plays a stronger role in funerals and reflections on death. Religion in Japan is not about defining right or wrong, but about helping people live in harmony with nature and the community. A major turning point came during the Meiji era. In 1872, the government allowed Buddhist monks to marry, eat meat, and drink alcohol. This broke away from the image of strict asceticism, but reflected Japan's broader effort to reform religion to fit a modern society. As a result, Japanese Buddhism became more flexible and closely connected to everyday life rather than isolated from it. Today, temples and shrines are not just places of worship, but also cultural and economic centers. They host festivals, conduct funerals, sell good luck charms, entrance tickets, and souvenirs. This blend of faith and economy is not seen as commercializing religion, but as a way for tradition to sustain itself in a modern world. At the same time, Japan has seen the rise of new religious movements such as Ryukai and Soka Gakkai. These groups focus on inner peace, personal meaning, and community connection rather than complex rituals. This shows that Japanese society has not abandoned religion, but continues to redefine it to match the rhythm of industrial and urban life. Number 4. Reverse gift culture. Why receiving gifts in Japan can feel like pressure. The concept of kawaii, meaning cute, has long shaped how Japanese women present themselves. In a society that values harmony and subtlety, kawaii is not just an aesthetic, but a way of life. High-pitched voices, gentle gestures, youthful fashion, and small movements are seen as symbols of femininity, safety, and approachability. This image is often treated as the social ideal. Behind this cute exterior, however, lies a reality that is rarely discussed. In a highly disciplined society where emotional expression is limited, many women suppress their need to be heard and recognized as individuals. Out of this emotional gap, host clubs emerged. In these spaces, women pay not for physical intimacy, but for attention, compliments, and the feeling of being fully listened to. Hosts are trained to engage emotionally, listen carefully, and make customers feel prioritized. Host clubs are not considered prostitution because sex is not the product being sold. What is exchanged is emotional presence. In a culture that values saving face and avoiding direct confrontation, paying for emotional care becomes a socially acceptable form of self-reward. This dynamic highlights a deep contradiction in modern Japanese society. On the surface, women are expected to be gentle, cute, and non-disruptive. Internally, many crave validation without judgment. Reverse gift culture appears when women become the ones who pay in order to receive attention, completely flipping traditional dating norms. Behind the glamour and lights of host clubs is a larger question about human connection. When understanding and care become services with price tags, the line between genuine emotion and purchased emotion grows increasingly blurred. Host clubs are not cultural abnormalities, but logical outcomes of a society that is polite on the surface, yet lacks safe spaces for emotional honesty. Number 5. Japan. A country where the present already feels like the future. Japanese technology is often described as being ahead of its time, not just because it is advanced, but because it is built around a human-centered philosophy. Innovations like smart toilets or transparent public restrooms are not designed to impress, but to solve practical problems related to hygiene, safety, and user experience. In Japan, technology exists to serve daily life, not to showcase technical power. This people-first mindset is visible across infrastructure and product design. High-speed Shinkansen trains prioritize safety and punctuality. Medical robots are developed to assist the elderly in an aging society. Vending machines are everywhere to meet immediate urban needs. Japanese technology is not meant to replace humans, but to support and complement them. Discipline and perfectionism shape Japanese design culture. Every detail is optimized, yet rarely flashy. The aesthetic of wabi-sabi, finding beauty in simplicity and imperfection, deeply influences everything from architecture and household items to advanced robotics. Even high-tech products feel warm and human. What stands out is that Japan does not chase the future at all costs. While many countries use technology to maximize efficiency, Japan focuses on balance. Technology is expected to help people live more safely, more calmly, and more humanely, especially in a rapidly aging society. The future Japan envisions is not one ruled by machines, but a society where humans and technology coexist in harmony. That is why so much of Japan feels futuristic, even though it is simply the present, carefully and thoughtfully designed. Number 6. Services only found in Japan that sound like a joke. Japan is famous for services that seem unimaginable elsewhere, from hiring someone to apologize or break up on your behalf to renting a silent companion. These services did not appear randomly. They are rooted in omotenashi, the culture of hospitality that places customer needs above all else. In Japanese thinking, if a need exists, no matter how strange, it deserves a proper solution. These unusual services reflect key traits of Japanese society: politeness, emotional restraint, and avoidance of direct confrontation. In a culture where maintaining face is crucial, outsourcing apologies or difficult conversations helps reduce emotional damage and preserve harmony. A striking example is the silent companion service, where customers pay simply to have someone sit beside them without speaking. While it may sound odd, in a society that values personal space, quiet presence can feel more comforting than conversation. In Japan, connection does not always require words. At the same time, these services raise concerns. When apologies, comfort, and even breakups can be outsourced, the boundary between genuine and artificial connection becomes fragile. Some experts see this as a sign of growing loneliness in modern Japan, where people live close together physically but remain emotionally distant. Still, these services are not just cultural quirks. They represent a society attempting to address loneliness in ways that align with its values of non-confrontation and mutual respect. In Japan, services do more than meet material needs. They fill emotional gaps created by modern life. Number 7. Is Japan really as peaceful as you think? Japan is often described as a pacifist nation, shaped by its 1947 constitution that renounces war and offensive military forces. But the reality behind this image is far more complex. During the Cold War and amid regional security pressures, Japan established the Japan Self-Defense Forces, or JSDF, officially tasked with defense and allied support. While not labeled a traditional military, the JSDF is among the most advanced and disciplined forces in Asia. What makes the JSDF unique is its strict legal framework. In theory, Japan cannot wage war or use force to resolve international disputes. In practice, the definition of self-defense has gradually expanded, especially as tensions rise in East Asia. Japan is shifting from passive pacifism to proactive peace, maintaining stability through deterrence. Today, the JSDF operates cutting-edge equipment, including destroyers capable of carrying F-35B fighter jets, Aegis missile defense systems, and advanced stealth submarines. Japan's defense budget is around $60 billion annually, placing it among the world's top military spenders. Much of its defense technology is developed domestically, reflecting a long-term goal of security independence. Japan also strengthens military cooperation with the United States, Australia, and South Korea through joint exercises and intelligence sharing. The alliance with the U.S. serves as both a security shield and a way for Japan to redefine its military role without fully abandoning its pacifist principles. Despite its capabilities, Japan remains cautious about military symbolism. Memories of World War II are still deeply ingrained, and society generally rejects militarism. As a result, Japan's military strength exists not for display, but as a last resort tool to preserve stability and avoid conflict. Number 8. The dark side behind one of the world's safest societies. Japan is often ranked as one of the safest countries in the world, with low crime rates and strong social order. Yet paradoxically, it also has one of the highest suicide rates among developed nations. The cause is not poverty or violence, but the immense psychological pressure of a highly disciplined society where people are expected to conform and avoid disturbing others. The idea of meiwaku o kakenai, not causing trouble, runs deep. While it helps maintain order, it also pushes people to hide emotional struggles. Complaining or asking for help can be seen as weakness. Silence becomes the norm, even during personal crises. A clear manifestation of this pressure is karoshi, death from overwork. Japanese work culture often glorifies total dedication, making rest feel irresponsible. When human worth is measured by productivity, the boundary between work and personal life fades. Many continue working while exhausted, afraid of becoming a burden. Despite living in a safe society, many Japanese people feel deeply lonely. This is a refined form of loneliness, where everyone is polite and respectful, yet emotionally distant. The value of gaman, enduring in silence, helps people survive short-term stress, but gradually erodes mental health. The government has introduced mental health counseling, work-hour reforms, and youth education programs. Still, the greatest challenge lies in changing the belief that people exist only to work, rather than to be heard and understood. Number 9. Modern Japan, when loneliness becomes a national issue. Japan is praised for order, safety, and efficiency, but beneath the surface lie growing social problems. In a culture obsessed with achievement and rigid success models, many young people withdraw from society altogether. The phenomenon of hikikomori, individuals who isolate themselves for years, is an extreme response to fear of failure and social judgment. Alongside them are freeders, people who survive on temporary or unstable jobs without long-term corporate commitment. While they reject traditional career paths, society has yet to fully accept this lifestyle. The mismatch between social expectations and personal choices leads to prolonged alienation. Another outcome is the rise of parasite singles, adults who continue living with parents due to high living costs and financial insecurity. At the same time, birth rates collapse and family structures weaken. In modern Japan, marriage is no longer an obligation, but it is also far from an easy option. Elderly people face their own tragedy. The phenomenon of kodokushi, dying alone and unnoticed, is increasing as society ages rapidly. Many seniors pass away in closed apartments without discovery for long periods, reflecting the breakdown of traditional community bonds. Experts argue that the root problem is the loss of ikigai, a sense of purpose. When human value is tied too closely to productivity and social roles, those who fall behind feel meaningless. Japan has created a ministry of loneliness and launched hotlines and community programs, but healing a society built on silent endurance will take time. Number 10. In Japan, falling asleep in public is not seen as lazy. In many countries, sleeping in public is considered rude or unprofessional. In Japan, however, it carries a very different meaning. The act of sleeping while still being present, known as Inemuri, is often seen as proof that someone has worked themselves to exhaustion, not as a sign of laziness. Inemuri is common on trains, in offices, and even during meetings. What matters is posture. The person remains upright, does not invade others' space, and can wake instantly if needed. The unspoken rule is simple. You may be tired, but you must not inconvenience the group. This practice is closely tied to gammon, enduring in silence. Instead of taking proper rest, many Japanese people rely on short, fragmented sleep. Sleep becomes an extension of work rather than a true break from it. As burnout spreads, Japan has created unique solutions. Capsule hotels, nap rooms in offices, and even sleep rental services help workers recover quickly. Yet these solutions highlight a deeper paradox. Society has become so busy that rest itself must be systematized. Health experts warn that fragmented sleep cannot replace deep, continuous rest. Rates of sleep disorders, chronic stress, and mental health issues continue to rise. When sleep becomes a measure of dedication, the line between diligence and self-destruction blurs. Inemuri therefore stands as both a symbol of admirable work ethic and a warning sign of a society pushing people beyond natural limits. Number 11. Why do Japanese people hesitate to take vacation even when the law allows it? On paper, Japanese workers receive more than 18 paid vacation days per year on average. In reality, most use only about half, and some take none at all for years. This is not due to lack of rights, but to corporate culture, where taking time off is often viewed as stepping away from collective responsibility. Teamwork is central in Japanese workplaces. When one person takes leave, their tasks are rarely reassigned clearly and instead fall silently on coworkers. As a result, many feel guilty requesting time off, believing they are increasing others' workload. The principle of meiwaku o kakenai continues to shape even the smallest personal decisions. Vacation becomes a psychological issue rather than a legal one. Even when allowed by law, employees often wait for their boss or colleagues to take leave first. In many companies, taking leave legally but not culturally can still hurt evaluations and promotion prospects. The result is chronic exhaustion. When rest is seen as selfish, people maintain constant work mode even as productivity drops. This contributes to depression, burnout, and in extreme cases, karoshi. Vacation, meant to restore, becomes something to apologize for. The government now requires companies to enforce minimum leave and promotes campaigns encouraging guilt-free rest. But changing laws is easier than changing deeply ingrained mindsets. This reluctance to rest reveals the complex relationship between work, honor, and human value in Japan. When hard work becomes a measure of dignity, rest turns into an uncomfortable subject. Number 12. Japan's future. Between tradition and change. Japan stands at one of the most critical turning points in its modern history. Rapid population decline, intense aging, and a shrinking workforce are placing unprecedented pressure on the economy and welfare systems. With one of the world's lowest birth rates and highest life expectancies, Japan's demographic structure is reversing in ways few nations have experienced. For decades, discipline, education, and collective spirit fueled Japan's success. Today, those same traits slow transformative change. A culture of consensus discourages risk-taking, captured by the saying, "The nail that sticks out gets hammered down." Japan's challenge goes beyond economics. It is a question of values. Younger generations are less attached to lifetime employment, traditional marriage, and conventional family roles. They seek personal meaning, balance, and freedom, even if it accelerates population decline and labor shortages. Technology is seen as a solution. Elder care robots, AI-driven manufacturing, and automation aim to ease workforce shortages. Unlike countries that fear automation, Japan treats robots as companions rather than threats. Still, this raises concerns about emotional isolation as human interaction is replaced by machines. At the same time, Japan must open itself to the world. Selective immigration, especially from other Asian countries, is becoming unavoidable. For a society that values homogeneity, this is a major test of social adaptability. Japan's future does not lie in abandoning tradition or chasing change blindly. The real challenge is finding a new balance, where discipline does not suppress creativity. Technology supports rather than replaces people, and personal happiness is no longer seen as opposing the collective good. Number 13. A country without a legal capital, yet perfectly functional. Although Tokyo is Japan's political, economic, and cultural center, few people realize it has never been officially designated as the capital by law. No article in Japan's constitution or legal code defines a national capital. From a legal standpoint, the concept barely exists. After World War II, there were discussions about formalizing Tokyo's status, but the government chose not to. The reason was simple. All capital functions were already there. The imperial palace, national diet, prime minister's office, and ministries were firmly established, making legal labeling unnecessary. This approach reflects Japan's pragmatic mindset. Function matters more than title. If a place operates as the center of power, naming it formally adds little value. The move of the capital from Kyoto to Edo, later renamed Tokyo, in 1869 marked the Meiji Restoration and Japan's shift from feudalism to modern nationhood. Kyoto remains a symbol of tradition, while Tokyo represents modernization and global integration. Together, they form two cultural axes of the nation. Interestingly, the lack of a legally defined capital helps Japan avoid political and administrative disputes. There is no competition for symbolic status and no pressure to redistribute power for form's sake. This legal silence creates long-term stability. The story of Tokyo reveals how Japan approaches power and governance. Instead of declarations, it prioritizes smooth operation. In the public consciousness, Tokyo is the heart of the nation, even if the word capital has never been written into law. Japan is more than discipline, technology, or the polished images we see online. It's a layered society where order and contradiction exist side by side, where people are both resilient and quietly burdened. If these 13 stories made you see Japan differently, hit like, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you don't miss what's coming next. There are many more countries and cultures we've only begun to scratch the surface of. I'll see you in the next journey.